Welcome to the PI Show. My name's Harry Nowicki. I'm a personal injury lawyer. I'm here with my colleague Tony Carbone.
Welcome, viewers.
Who's a personal injury lawyer, and we've persuaded Dr. Peter Larkins to come back for another episode on sports injuries, which is almost a topic which is inexhaustible. But,
welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, you're very persuasive.
Your background, obviously, you've got a sports background. You were track and field, 1,500 metres and steeplechase person. Dare I say, were you competing against Herb Elliott or John Landy?
No, dare you not say that.
They were a different era.
I did have a period of time in the late 70s and 80s when I was at international level, but somewhat after John Landy and Herb Elliott. Thank you very much.
Okay, but you've attended 8 Olympic Games?
Yeah, look, in my luckily been involved in the sport world for such a long time, and before I was in the medical world, I was in the sports world, obviously, and both as a competitor and from an official point of view, and as a spectator, I've had the opportunity to be at 8 different Olympics, which is great.
So you've obviously seen sports medicine firsthand at the elite level. I mean,
one of the reasons that I got interested was in Eastern Europe and in Russia, and times as an athlete I was travelling as a competitor, and I got to see what sports medicine was doing around the world, and I knew as a country in Australia, we prided ourselves on being very sporty, and we know that, and so I really felt that sports medicine in this country would evolve, and it was one of the reasons I got into that field.
How did we stack up with those other countries?
Well, back in then we weren't stacking up very well, but certainly since the 1980s and with the AIS coming involved in 1981, we've got a very strong culture of sports medicine, physios and doctors that have evolved with our elite teams, and we think we do a very good job, and a lot of players accept that.
Yeah, but we might come back to that in the next episode, but what your involvement currently really is with the AFL and sports in Melbourne, but the AFL has had a number of litigated matters over the years. I think Sean Wren was a well-known case. He slipped on the,
artificial plate, so they could bounce the ball.
A plate at Waverley,
Yeah, it was
and
Waverley Park.
ruined his knee, and it was an early stop to his career.
Yeah. Just to clarify, I'm not working for the AFL though, but I'm involved with Triple M Football, the broadcast AFL, and I've been involved with the Channel 9 Footy Show over the time, so I'm not an AFL official in any capacity, just to clarify that point. But as you say, there's been a few celebrated cases where AFL players have taken some action against the AFL or
the sporting
stadiums.
grounds.
Yeah. Sean Wren, I think, was at Amy Stadium in Adelaide. I think was his.
Yeah,
Was it?
yeah. I
I
think
know
so.
Luke O'Sullivan's case was at Waverley, where and Joe Mercedes has been another one. So there's been a few.
And Steve Alessio, I think, also you've mentioned.
Yeah, related
before.
to the surface. I mean, Sean Wren was a really obvious one because there was a bounce plate that the umpires used to use to get a better bounce, and that was like a rubber or plastic disc that they sent in the middle of the ground, and having they've certainly got rid of that. So there was almost an admission that was the wrong thing to have, because clearly the players did not want to run through an area and slip over.
It's an artificial.
Etihad's got a lot of issues at the moment too, Doc.
Etihad's been in the news this season a lot, Tony, because of the shifting surface, and there's an issue there because of the daylight and the amount of the sun that it gets, and the grass is brought in and laid on top of topsoil and then crushed rock and then concrete, so it never really gets a good purchase. And it's a real dilemma for the tradespeople down there and the grounds people, but the players themselves, they're concerned about the different ages of the turf, because you have looked at that stadium, you see new grass and old grass, and some of it hasn't just sealed properly, and so we've had a couple of
Shifts a lot. That's a real problem.
Yeah, and the players don't have confidence sometimes in some of those areas, and it's I don't know what we're going to do about it. I mean, it's a dilemma because of the nature of that stadium, and as I said, the AFL certainly says it's safe, but some of the clubs behind the scenes aren't as happy.
Yeah, but I think all cases that have been issued have been settled out of court, as far as we know. So we're not quite sure what ultimately the court would decide. But Luke O'Sullivan was, as you say, a slippery surface, soggy.
Well, I think this was a Waverley case, and I believe it was related to how muddy and how badly prepared the surface was. So you virtually like sticking in quicksand or glue, and not being able. And he got a knee injury, which ruined his career.
And Joe Mercedes was the MCG, was the uneven surface.
I think it was the hardness of the cricket pitch area.
Pitch
so I think
area,
he slipped on that, and there was an issue of whether it was like ice skating because it was just so hard.
Well, it's just rock hard, isn't it?
He had a foot injury which was significantly aggravated a stress fracture situation. So I think, as you say, most of these cases have never been tested in the court environment because they have settled, which I guess is just an acceptance that the players had a case, and so they did settle that. I mean, look, the AFL football, players go in there knowing injuries occur. I mean, it's very much a voluntary risk situation that you go into.
And it's a high impact sport.
Yeah, and if you think of the thousands of players that have played since 1980, there's over 3,500 players that have run onto the ground to play AFL or VFL football. So you've only got a very limited number of cases where players have taken action.
Yeah, but a lot of these players don't have much of a career after football, so they've got that limited lifespan in terms of earnings.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a very, the average lifespan's about 3.4 or 3.5 years, which is not long in any career. If your legal career was only go for 3 years, you'd probably think it wasn't a very long career, Tony. But if we look at the average of players, they only, the average is 40 or 50 games over 3 years, and so not many players play 250 games. That's an exception. Right. So they've got a limited lifespan as a footballer to earn some good money, and if they get injured, of course, that may carry them for the rest of their life. It is another medical topic, but the number of players who are carrying degenerative knees or hips or problems for the rest of their life as a result of a football injury, it's again accepted risk.
But it's in effect a voluntary assumption of risk, and I think you say you give talks to players are given talks at the beginning of the year.
Every club doctor at the start of the year sits down and talks to his club players about drug testing that they're going to have during the year, about some of the things that will arise. And when it comes to injuries, they're explained that there will be cases during the year where they'll have to make a decision about whether they have an injection to play or not. And you can't have a half an hour talk at halftime at the MCG in the middle of a Friday night game. So you have this at the start of the year. So the players are explained, that they can die playing football. You could become paraplegic playing football. I mean, you might not have run onto the ground if you're worried about doing that, but it's a fact of life that risk has to be explained.
Risk.
And I've seen the talk that the club doctors do, and it's quite confronting. A lot of players come back going, I hadn't thought about that. But, it's been around forever. The risks have been there. Footy hasn't changed.
No.
Speed's changed, but the risks have been there.
Don't have a choice. That's what they're good at. I mean,
footballers
or rugby players.
Great skills.
Yeah, look, it's money. Look, if you think of the average income is $238,000 currently for AFL, the 640 players, it's a very elite job to have as a 23, 24, 25. Not many jobs in the world are going to pay you that for the skill set that you require, but it's a limited time, and it's a privilege to play AFL football, as I say.
A lot of them probably don't have skills outside of football. I mean, they don't have the education.
Well, I think clubs have got a welfare program now, Tony, where the players are encouraged to get some education, to do some training. It used to be there when they were working part-time and playing part-time. Then they went to full-time and they were coming out without any career options, and now it's going back the other way because of welfare officers. So I think you have to look. It's going to be a short-time thing for players. They have to look at what they're going to do afterwards, and they have to invest their money wisely while they're playing.
They can't all go into the media, can they, though?
Well, it's a very sought-after role, Tony, as you know, but you're pushing hard to get yours.
But I think we've got a case in New South Wales, which was a 16-year-old schoolboy who became a paraplegic. Perhaps we can talk about
Harry,
that.
we're going to have to come to that after the break. We've got to go to a sponsors break, so thanks, Stock and Harry.
We'll be back.
We'll be back shortly, so please, viewers, don't go away. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.